Hi everyone, it's Alex Egan here, and I wanted to pop in today to do this recording because today here in Victoria we've had an announcement that we're going back into stage 4 restrictions. And what that means essentially for a lot of people is that they've gone into panic mode. The reason I'm doing this video is this. Today, after the announcement was made, I noticed quite a few comments on Facebook. I noticed a lot of people sort of going into panic mode. I noticed a lot of conversation around what now, where to from here, a lot of uncertainty. And so I wanted to speak to you a little bit about today and share with you maybe some tools, maybe some thinking strategies of how to deal with this next 5 days, or it could be longer. The point is that it's really important to be able to develop and implement or even create some form of strategy where you're able to deal and better manage this this next few days, whatever it might mean for us here in Victoria. So first and foremost, how we respond to uncertainty and rise above the chaos really matters. You know, what we tell ourselves really matters. So ultimately the way that the brain works is that, and I'm not going to go into the scientific side of it, I just want to share this with you, is when we find something out, when something suddenly is announced, like this announcement today, some people go into reactive mode and some people go into responsive mode, and that all then determines the outcome. So if we react, we go into panic mode, and all that sort of stuff happens. We stress out, and then nothing happens really, because when we're stressing and when we go into panic mode, we essentially we procrastinate and we basically just do nothing. Versus what happens when we say, okay, so we get it, this is what's going on, this is what's going to happen in the next few days. Ultimately, we really have no control over the lockdown. We really don't. It's what it is what it is. What we do have control over, though, is what we do with it, right? So that is going to determine a different outcome again. So there are 3 things that happen really quickly when stuff happens, or we get notification, or we get announcements like the one today. The first thing is thought. The second thing is meaning, and the third thing is emotion. So we get the thought. This thought happens in our mind as soon as the announcement was made. We all thought of something. Some of us thought, oh no, what are we going to do now? And oh, I've got to quickly rush down to the supermarket and do all that stuff, or whatever the thought was. And others were, okay, got it. So we're back into lockdown. What can I do? So the first thing is thought, the second is the meaning we give our thought, and the third is the emotion that follows. So our thought immediately produces a meaning, and that particular thought and meaning then combined produces an outcome, whatever that outcome might be. What is really important, and what I want to be able to share with you today and bring to your attention, conscious attention, is this. The quality of the questions that we ask ourselves actually determine the outcome that we get. So what we ask ourselves as soon as something like this happens, or what we tell ourselves as soon as something like this happens, and I trust you can hear me okay. Sorry, I just realized I had my microphone all the way down there. The quality of the questions we ask ourselves and what we tell ourselves really matters. So for example, once that announcement came through today, what was the first thing you asked yourself? What was the first thing you asked yourself? And now what I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself this. What is your immediate problem right now? What is your immediate problem? Ask yourself that. What is my immediate problem right now, given the fact that for the next 5 days, I'm going to be in lockdown? It could be longer, but what is my immediate problem? It could be that you may need to work from home if you're working. It may mean that you can't visit family and friends. It may mean that you can't go on your trip. It may mean that you can't go out for Valentine's Day. It might mean that you can't go on the dinner dates that you have set yourself up for. It may mean that you can't attend those meetings that you've booked in for next week. Now, these problems are problems that can be fixed. So how is it that we can do it differently? So your next question will be, okay, well, how else can I do this? How else can I look at this? It might mean that you might need to organise some Zoom calls, perhaps reschedule your Valentine's dinner, lunch, whatever it is. It may mean that you need to postpone and catch up with family on the phone, on Zoom, or in the next couple of weeks once this thing blows over. It's about the questions that we ask ourselves. Okay, so how differently can we do this? It's another question you can ask yourself. Maybe too, if you don't know what to ask yourself, or if you don't know how to go about doing the next step and the next step and the next step to help you through this time of uncertainty, perhaps reach out to someone who is doing this differently to you and who is getting different results to you, and maybe they're the results that you want to get. People, we all deal with things so very differently. Some of us react, some of us respond, and so it really does pay to connect with people who do this really well, who do change really well. And I've got to tell you guys, there is no right or wrong. We're all different. That's what makes us unique. So there is no right or wrong. The thing to remember, though, is that to be able to get through this resourcefully, without going into panic mode and causing ourselves, to be unwell and to stress and to go into all that, because you've got to remember too that the way in which we deal with problems, the way in which we deal with uncertainty, the way in which we deal with stuff that sort of happens in life, if you're a parent or a grandparent and you've got kids around you, they're watching you. If you're a leader, your people are watching you. If you're a person of authority, the people who are following or who look up to you are watching you. So you want to teach them, you want to show them that, hey, we can do this differently. So really ask yourself different questions. Ask yourself resourceful questions, because it's in our questions that determine what happens, good or bad, if that makes sense. So one thing I've learned over the years is this, because the way in which we deal with change, or the way in which we deal with crises stuff, the way in which we deal with uncertainty really comes down to a learning behavior. It's a learned behavior. So we've learned that from someone. As people are now learning from us. So it could be your children, as I said earlier, it could be grandchildren, whatever. Thing is, if it hasn't worked, and if you're going into panic mode, and if you're stressing yourself out, step back and say, well, how else can I deal with this right now? And how are other people dealing with this right now? So if I may just share an example with you real quick, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So when the announcement came through today, and I just want to make sure that I'm recording this for you right, when the announcement came through today, the first thing that went into my mind, or the first thought I had was, okay, got it. I've got to jump on right now and connect with the people who I had organized meetings with next week and let them know that obviously this can't happen. What can we do differently? Do you want to reschedule? Do you want to just jump on Zoom? I knew too that I needed to jump on and let my kids know that I couldn't look after the little one this weekend, because they sort of live, further away than the 5 kilometers, all that sort of stuff. So all the plans that I had, the first thing that come to my mind is I just need to do it differently. I just need to reschedule them, instead of going into panic mode. Next thing I thought was, well, maybe I just need to go and do some grocery shopping, but I might just wait because everyone's gone there now, because everyone's panic buying again, for no reason, by the way, because there's no shortage of anything, except, again, it's a habit. It's a reactive habit. So, I'm going to wait and I'm going to do shopping in a minute, and that way it'll last us for the next few days. I don't have to keep going out. Where I'm going with this is, when we take a deep breath and we take a step back and we disassociate ourselves from what's going on and we look at the event, the announcement differently, we get a different outcome. We feel better about things. We deal with things differently. We manage things differently, and ultimately we get a different result. So the moment we consciously choose how we respond to things, the moment we consciously choose what we tell ourselves, the thoughts that we have, the questions that we ask, the actions that we take, that's the difference that makes a difference. Things start to spiral upwards instead of spiraling down. So we have control of how we react to things. We really do. We have control of it. And even more than that, we have control of how we want our outcome to be, or what we want our outcome to be. And that comes back to how we respond. So, and ultimately, I just want to add just one more thing. Ultimately, we are 100% responsible for our outcome. We really are. We can either be stressed out and get the blood pressure up and, start panicking and all the rest. Well, what's that going to give us? At the end of the day, we're in lockdown. And so we've done this before. We know what we need to do. What's wonderful is that we've learned new skills when we were last locked down. We know that we can get in touch with people differently now. We can sort of connect with people via Zoom and all these amazing technology stuff that we have. If you don't have access to them, that's okay. We still do have a phone. We can do that as well through phone. So long as we connect with people, so long as we stay connected. So I just want to put it out there too that I know that a lot of people, I've been reading Facebook as well today and just been sort of observing what's going on out there. And I know that, you know, a lot of people have also started new jobs. And one of the Facebook, or a couple of the Facebook messages I read today was that, you know, this is I'm 1 week into my new job. Now I've got to do it all by myself next week. Well, actually, you're not by yourself and you do have connections. And certainly it's really about how you structure and how you create your environment, how you set up your environment. And so, you know, if you need help with that, please feel free to reach out to me. You're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to spend some time with you and help you set up your environment, your working environment. I'm more than happy to give you some time to help you create different thought processes around this next few days. It could be next few weeks. It doesn't really matter how long it is. It's how and what we do with it that matters. So guys, I trust this has been of value. Feel free to reach out. I'd love to know your feedback on this video if it has been of value, and you know, let's stick together. We're here, we're in this together, and so you're not alone. You do have someone with you, and certainly you do have someone that you can reach out to all the time. So feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my details down below. And if you need any, you know, if you need to chat or if you need some tools, feel free to reach out. All right. Look after yourself. Have an incredible Friday night. Have a wonderful weekend ahead. And I look forward to speaking with you guys soon. Okay. Bye for now.